Hey guys, I'm JanetOnOccasion, and today we're playing another Total War Warhammer II Battle Replay. This one was edited by WickD, and yeah, I know, what's with the view? I've been on this map a billion times, I've never really looked up here, but it's kind of cool, isn't it? The little towers and stuff. All very chaosy. What do you think of these? Pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, this is Norsca against Skaven. So that's right, even more Skaven on the channel. I just can't stop now, guys. Everyone keeps sending me Skaven replays because I've been doing so much Skaven. They're like, I can Skaven, or I've been against Skaven. They send me Skaven. I'm getting so much Skaven. Anyway, this is still the old patch, by the way. That's right, I'm still getting through the backlog. So, yeah, soon I'll be on the new version when I start getting replays for that. Anyway. That's besides the point. We're talking about this game right now. So, here you can see there are a ton of Marauder Berserkers. Marauder Berserkers, they're a cool pick against Skaven because anything sort of low-armoured, the clan rats, the slaves, Marauder Berserkers will just cleave through in seconds. Plague Monks, Censer Bearers, any of the low-armoured stuff, Berserkers will just chop through. No problem at all. So, that's great. But Storm Vermin do hold them up for a very long time. They are not great at cutting through armour. But there are a lot of them. There are a lot of them. Also, you can see a ton of these skin wolves. They're all the armoured skin wolves. There's 2 over here and another 2 over here. I never see skin wolves brought these days, so to see 4 units of armoured skin wolves is brilliant because it's quite common to see hell pit abominations, for, to help deal with the Fimir. So, a load of skin wolves, these guys are great against that kind of unit, because there's a lot of them in a unit, and they all attack a lot. So these can get a really good surround, and just get so many attacks in. And if they do get hit, you might lose a wolf, but the rest are still going, it's really good. For me, you can just knock one out of the way, they can't get as many hits in, because there aren't as many models. So I think skin wolves are great, but they do only have 70 armor, so even the armored variant isn't the most heavily armored thing in the world. But great anti-large bonuses. Brutes of the Hound are unbreakable, which is really nice, and there are some Warhounds on the outside as well. Here you can see a mere Bale Fiend of Fire, so he does have the armor sundering with his attacks, and of course he has, well, fireballs and the like, so he's got Fireball and Flaming Sword of Ruin. There's also some Spearmen and Wulfric, who is on foot, so no anti-large is going to hit Wulfric, so it's going to be interesting to see what he does. The Skaven army, a lot of cheap and cheerful stuff. You can see Night Runners in the front. They can actually get some good damage into things like Marauder Berserkers. Just cheap slings are very good against Berserkers. They're very low armor at 15 and no missile resist to speak of. No shields or anything. There's also some Rat Ogres and 2 Hell Pit Abominations. There we go. Hell Pit Abominations, great anti-large, great armor piercing, great for dealing with Fimir. With 2 of them, that's terrifying. There's also Greyseer of Ruin, which I think is very interesting. You rarely see him. So I really like to see that. He's got a load of good buffs and debuffs for nearby units and enemies, so I really like that. I really rate the Greyseer of Ruin here. Purely for how unique he is, but he's a good unit. Also, there's a load of Storm Vermin. That's right, there are Storm Vermin, but it is only 3 models, and everything else is going to get chewed up by the sheer volume of, well, everything. Mainly the Berserkers, but actually the Norscan Warhounds are pretty great at this too. So, speeding things up. So, Rat Ogres, they're trying to come in to help deal with the Norscan Warhounds, which is definitely a good idea. Try and break them early, takes the pressure off, and it has allowed the Night Runners to slip back into formation so they can start shooting into the Marauder Berserkers again. So, this side is definitely what's being focused right now. Everything's shifting over here. You can see the Skin Wolves are nearby. They came in trying to deal with the Rat Ogres, but the Rat Ogres have pulled back. So, there's some clever back and forth here, but generally, the more back and forth and unwillingness to commit troops, the worse it's going to be for Skaven, simply because there are so many Berserkers here, and they'll be able to cut through the lines very, very fast. You can see here, Skaven slaves are nearly dead, Clan Rats are going to have it next. More fireballs coming in, but this Greyseer is actually being very slippery here. But this Death Frenzy was a beautiful move, so all of this stuff has huge melee attack now. So these Storm Vermin, 67 melee attack. These Skaven slaves, 43 melee attack. So against something that's so glass cannony as the Marauder Berserkers against overwhelming numbers, they're really going to suffer. So that was a beautiful move. Also, these guys just got hit by lightning, which is never ideal. So, Skin Wolves, Armoured Skin Wolves, all charging into the back, doing what they can. Here you can see the Hunter of Champions has been used on the Greyseer, which is going to put his stats very, very low. But of course there is still a Hell Pit Abomination in here. There's still a load of Storm Vermin in here. There's a lot of very scary things. Luckily that Death Frenzy doesn't last too long, so most of the Berserkers are still alive in this fight. The Fimir Bale Fiend has charged in, which has sundered the armor of the Storm Vermin down to 60, which is a bit more manageable for the Berserkers. So very nice, that combination. It really works wonders. That's why the Skaven were really preparing for Fimir, because Fimir and Berserkers are a great combo here. So you want to be able to deal with the Fimir so the Berserkers can't kill all your Storm Vermin. So very nice balanced army here, but he's up against a totally different composition than you normally expect. So here you can see the Skin Wolves, the Armoured Skin Wolves and the Marauder Berserkers are in the back doing what they can, and a lot of damage is landing on this Hell Pit Abomination. He can regenerate, but against such decent anti-large, he's going to start suffering. Over here, I believe that's another Death Frenzy, isn't it? Yep, that's another Death Frenzy, and a lot of stuff is starting to terrify away now. Wulfric is still in the thick of it, but he's a very hard target when he's on foot like that. 100 armor, silver shields, and 50 melee defense isn't half bad. It's going to be very difficult to single him out and kill him. So he's in here, having a whale of a time. 104 kills so far. Sort of ridiculous. He's doing a fine job. So it looks like another Fireball was going to come in there. I don't know where the Fimir Balefiend even is anymore. Oh, there he is. There he is. He's fighting the Greyseer, sundering his armor. Very nice. So you can see Marauder Berserkers still doing a fine job killing the non-armoured units that are still kicking about, but here we got these double Storm Vermin. They've happily held off anything that could possibly deal with them. Over here, load of things starting to rout, and the Hell Pit Abomination is running. To be able to chase him off would be great right now because he will regenerate, so he will come back with a lot more health than he runs off with, and he could still be a serious threat, especially if a load of things like the Skin Wolves just get tied down and whittled down by these Storm Vermin. It could be very difficult, but massive surround on the Greyseer, and he is being ripped apart. He really needs this Hell Pit to come over here and help. You know, he needed his Hell Pits to stick together and have all the protection from the Storm Vermin. Another Death Frenzy here, putting the melee defense way up. Absolutely lovely. But that is a dead Greyseer, so no more spells, and the Hell Pit Abomination is indeed coming back. Here you can see the Skin Wolves with that anti-large. They're dealing with this Hell Pit, but they're really starting to suffer. You know, these aren't the most survivable units. But because there's 4 units of them, there's always going to be a lot of very scary anti-large. And the best way to deal with them is with something they're actually good at dealing with. And that's what makes it difficult. This Hell Pit, though, he just got too horrible to die, so he's got even more health than he did before. Amazingly, he didn't break. And here, Flaming Sword of Ruin, very, very nice, because Hell Pits are weak to fire. So that means the Skin Wolves will have a load of extra damage, and they'll be able to make use of that fire damage, the fire weakness as well. So that is huge. So these guys are going to melt very, very fast. Over here, though, Wulfric, he's barely been touched, which I find just unbelievable. The fact he's been in the thick of things for so long, and he's totally fine. So over here, you can see the Armoured Skin Wolves are running away from these cheap spears. They don't want to be fighting that kind of nonsense. And also, Rat Ogres are coming back into the fray. There's still a lot of Storm Vermin, which makes things very difficult, but that is one dead Hell Pit, and that's definitely going to come in handy. So, more Berserkers there, loitering. They'll probably come back in a minute. Oh, Norscan Warhounds coming in to chase off the Night Runners. They've now shattered, so that's good news. But there's still a lot of armor in here, and this Hell Pit isn't going to go down without a fight. Rat Ogres coming in for that nice armor piercing, so they're certainly going to help if they can get a good surround, and these Clan Rats are going to help take some of the damage that the Rat Ogres would be taking. But this Hell Pit is really struggling now. He is really struggling. Oh, his leadership seems to be steadying. And that is a miscast from the Fimir Balefiend. He is broken, he's been terrified away, and the Hell Pit is still going, and he is still regenerating. The Rat Ogres are almost dealt with, but this was enough to terrify away all of the Skin Wolves. Oh, not all of them, there's one over there. But still, 3 units of Skin Wolves terrified away, and the Spellcaster, suddenly that is really, really bad, because there's still Storm Vermin in here. And there's, well, still Rat Ogres, more Storm Vermin coming in. Another boat gets thrown at them, so 127 kills for Wulfric. But that terror didn't last long. These guys are back. These guys are all back. So they're going to be able to deal with these Clan Rats, hopefully, because these Clan Rats are going to deal with them otherwise. You know, the Clan Rats, they're anti-large, they're pretty cheap, 70 armor. Even though they're armored, it's not the best armor in the world. They're very, very cost-effective in this fight. Okay, now everything else is pulling in, and again, the Storm Vermin, they're going to do well against Skin Wolves, because the Skin Wolves, alright, they're not armor-piercing, they're going to hold out a long time. They're going to get in the way for a long time. Their leadership is pretty good, and they've got some armor, and the Skin Wolves, they're anti-large, not armor-piercing. So things are looking bad for them. Wulfric, though, still refusing to take any damage. Skaven Slave Spears running in, the Rat Ogres are back in, which is nice. But it looks like the Fimir Balefiend is coming back. He's using Arcane Conduit, and I think that's going to be another Flaming Sword of Ruin in a second. That hasn't been used yet. More units starting to run away. Those Storm Vermin have shattered, though. More Berserkers charging in. Spearmen are charging in. But you know, can Wulfric deal with this Hell Pit Abomination? He is regenerating a lot. There's a lot of Storm Vermin in here, still taking the blows. So here you can see nice Flaming Sword of Ruin was cast, but he broke, and Flaming Sword of Ruin, it tends to disappear when the guy who used it is dealt with, which is interesting. A lot of spells do that, a lot of spells don't do that. I'd love to see a list of which ones do what, but anyway. Skin Wolves all coming back in force, all 4 units charging in. That's pretty bad for the Hell Pit Abomination. He will take a lot of damage here, but there's still the Storm Vermin, the Rat Ogres are running, they've got a bit of mass, they can be able to push some of these Skin Wolves aside, giving the Hell Pit a bit more breathing room, and the Hell Pit does hit very hard when he's not doing a little dance. And now he's starting to waver. That looks like it. Looks like army losses. So there we go. That was tense. That was really back and forth. Really tough to know who was going to pull out, you know, the victory there. But it's a Pyrrhic victory, and just wow. Wow, hundreds of kills for all the Berserkers, but there were hundreds of things to kill. Look at the difference in the size of the armies. Skaven can just field so many more troops. I mean, even the Storm Vermin being the elite, they have such huge model counts at 120. You know, for an elite unit, that is gigantic. So you see huge amounts of bodies. But the Berserkers are just great for killing things very, very fast. And that's nice. That's what's good against Skaven. If you bring sort of glass candy things, you can just kill them too quickly for them to do much. And because they're nice and quick, they can get a lot of killing done. And yeah, the Skaven will run away, but when they do run back, they're not going to have the strength they might have done if they were running away from a more defensive force. So it's pretty damn cool. The Norscan Warhounds, I mean, they didn't get a lot of kills, but they were pretty useful for harassing that back line, keeping the gutter runners bothered. But these armoured skin wolves, they really pulled through. They really did. I think going all in with 4 of them is what really helped. I think that's what really helped. It's just very difficult to deal with that many. I mean, they're pretty quick. I mean, 2 Hell Pits seems like too many, but when you're doing something like this, it sort of seems like a must, right? Even if it's just Vermeer instead, the usual Vermeer and Berserkers. That's what you usually go with, but yeah, these guys, they just performed brilliantly. They performed absolutely brilliantly. I'm very surprised to see a fire wizard instead of metal, honestly, because usually with the Berserkers, you want to be able to sunder that armor a lot more. But because it was 2 Hell Pits, that weakness to fire completely screwed them. And that was amazing. So, you know, using the Flaming Sword of Ruin and the Fireballs to whittle down the Greyseer and then the Hell Pit Abominations. Obviously, the Greyseer is not weak to fire, but he's a big target for Fireballs, so that works. But, yeah, it's just amazing to see, you know, that weakness to fire exploited here. Because that's the trend, right? Bring Hell Pit Abominations against Norsca. So just go all in with a load of decent armor, not armor piercing, anti-large, buff them, allow them to get, you know, where that percentage matters, right? It's a 25%. Is it 25%? The weakness to fire is 25%, right? Or have I gone insane? Anyway, if it's a percentage, it's going to be a bigger boost to the damage you can do, right? And the fact that these guys can really surround a Hell Pit and all get hits in, it just adds up horribly. And we saw that. I mean, these Hell Pits didn't get a lot done. They didn't get a huge amount done. So it was pretty impressive. Wulfric on foot, just too small a target. Even if there was artillery, usually if he's on a chariot, you can just snipe him with warp lightning cannons or something, and that can be horrible. So just him on foot, it's a lot harder to snipe him out. He was in the thick of things for ages, but the Hell Pits couldn't bully him. They didn't have the anti-large bonus to hit him. And yeah, he's just too small a target. There's other stuff in the way. And with the constant pressure from the skin walls, it made it impossible to target him. So there were a lot of really interesting things going on here that I could probably talk about all day. But I'm tired, so I'm not going to. Yeah, that's right. For once, I'm going to stop talking. Guys, if you enjoyed this, please do comment, like, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Have a good day, guys.